With the score now 3-1 in the favor of Praggnanandhaa, it's high time for Nihal to strike back. He opens the game with knight f3, knight comes out to f6, and he plays the English opening with c4. You can see Pragg pausing there, trying to make sure what he wants to do, e6, and he goes for the very solid setup with e6 d5, but then he pauses and he's like, do I want to go so solid, or do I want to be a little bit more ambitious? And ambitious it is. He pushes his pawn again, which is actually not a great idea in the opening. You have to make as few pawn moves as possible, but these top players know that with a pawn on d4 you have more space. But look at White's development. It's been very quick. He's castled himself, and so it's time for Nihal to perhaps do something active in the center, but breaking is not possible because after pawn takes he loses the pawn here. So can he figure out a way to take advantage of his slight lead in development and do something, or will Praggnanandhaa solidify with moves like castle and e5? Knight e1 played by Nihal. He wants to kick the bishop away, and that's how he's continuing. Pragg anyway castles it out, and the knight does come to c2. The bishop goes back, and now still pushing the pawn might not be easy. So he goes b3. Maybe the bishop can come here and put pressure on the pawn. But it's not so simple how to attack it. e5 played, and now a3. So that's the plan. When black plays in the center, you want to start playing on the queen side. That's how Nihal wants to do, and maybe he'll put his rook on b1 and then engineer this b4 break. 2 minutes 32 seconds for Nihal, 2 minutes 20 seconds for Pragg. He goes bishop f5, rook b1 as we anticipated, and queen c8. Nice idea. You want to put your bishop on h3 and trade one of White's defenders, and look at this move. If bishop h3 comes, Nihal will simply drop back his bishop so that the rook is not hanging. That's the plan. Rook e8 played, and now White gets the queen side play rolling. The bishop drops back, and the plan is to push the queen side pawns there by White. So Nihal Sarin has got this very nice break, and he pushes the pawn even further, asking Pragg what your idea is. Well, Pragg says, I'm going to b8 to d7 to c5. This is a nice home that you've given my knight. And a4 played. The knight now, Pragg waits and plays his knight to d7. Knight comes to b3. And you can see there's pressure here, here, and here. I like White's position, but I like the attacking chances that black has, because you know this pawn on d4 gives so much space, and this king is a bit lonely for White. So if black can play bishop h3, h5, h4, that would be some huge attack coming down. Nihal has 2 minutes to figure out what is his next plan, and he wants to maybe put a knight here on b3, and that's the reason why he goes knight a1. He wants to play knight b3, hit here, and if he can push his pawn to c5, nothing like it. So definitely bishop h3 is a key idea here. If you put your bishop back, maybe a central break. So already black has all these plans up his sleeve, but Praggnanandhaa is thinking a bit longer than normal. He has 1 minute 25 seconds. What is he thinking about? I mean, h5 looks like a normal plan. Oh, he goes and plays in the center straight away. Nihal does not even take a second. He simply plays his knight to b3, attacks the bishop. The bishop comes in and attacks the rook. So now, do you want to play your bishop here? Because if you play your bishop to d2, you have to calculate this very sharp move e3. That could make the game very tense. Nihal, 1 minute 30 seconds, goes rook f1. He puts his rook on the side. And now will Pragg push his pawn further? No, he takes it. Takes and creates a weakness on the d3 square, and he attacks the queen. Now you never want to play f3 because it blocks your bishop, it weakens the e3 square. So Nihal goes bishop f3 and offers a trade of bishops to Pragg. because if Pragg takes, then the queen comes here on this beautiful diagonal. So Pragg goes bishop h3, attacks the rook, and rook is trapped. Rook can't go here. The bishop is waiting for it. So bishop had to go back. Pragg plays his pawn to c5. He's not in a mood to even repeat with bishop g4. c5 played, and maybe Nihal must take opposite if he wants to create counterplay in the position. That should be the idea. He's thinking hard here. And 1 minute to Nihal. Now one plan that Pragg has is that if you take here, he wants to take with the queen, with a check. That is his plan. But Nihal can actually put his queen here, and in that ensuing position, this pawn would be a weakness for white and this pawn would be a weakness for black. Will Nihal go for it? He's kind of assessing this position that could arise. But look at his time. He has only 30 seconds. And in the match, he's already 2 points down. This is a very tough situation to be in. He takes the pawn. Bishop takes bishop by Pragg. King takes. And now, most likely he'll take with the queen. Because the check, I mean, who could resist the temptation of this nice juicy check? Queen f3. And now, Pragg can keep his queen. Because if he keeps the queens on the board, there will be some play against the white king. But if you take it, this endgame might be torturous for black because the d4 pawn becomes a very sure shot weakness. Again, look at this. How in a blitz game, Pragg and Nihal are both taking their time for critical decisions. Whether to trade the queens, whether to keep them on the board. And that's what makes them excellent players. But Pragg, I guess he's tempted by taking the queen. Takes, and nice move, knight d7. He wants to play this. So if you take here, he wants to give this check. If the king comes here, there would be a disco. And so Nihal first goes rook d1 and says, look Pragg, I'll defend my pawn. Now your pawn is still hanging. How do you defend that? The simple idea is knight check, king moves back, and knight c6. That would be the right way to proceed. But Pragg goes bishop c3. Maybe not the best idea. And perhaps Nihal should just trade off this bishop. So just to weaken this even further, bishop d2 is an idea, bishop b2 is an idea. But 14 seconds for Nihal. Oh, Pragg is already down to 11 seconds. They're down to their last 10 seconds. Bishop b2 played. Okay, what is Pragg going to do now? He has to give a check, I believe. Go for a check, put your knight on c6, goes rook a6. Whoa, he wants to swing his rook over there. And Nihal takes, he takes the d4 pawn. Maybe Pragg missed that. The bishop controls the square. He missed it. Check with just 2 seconds. King goes back. He trades the bishop. Rook takes. Now, Pragg is a pawn down. Nihal has won a pawn. Rook comes in and pawn moves to b6. But this is a weakness. This is a weakness. Knight f3. Oh, he had 1 second left. My God, did you see that? Nihal had just 1 second left on it. He's shaking there. He's shaking. He just needs to get a few seconds. But you can see there. Now he's moved up to 6 seconds. That's Nihal Sarin for you. Once he starts rolling, it's very difficult to stop him. Pragg has also very little time. He attacks this pawn. And now, guys, look, the dust has settled. White has an extra pawn. But Pragg pins the pawn. Nihal brings the knight. The knight is attacked. The knight attacks the rook. The rook goes, with 1 second again, rook f5. How do these players play with just 1 second? I'll collapse there. Rook c5, and he goes rook back to a7. But now the knight can come to d5 and trade. No, he goes rook c4. It's still a drawish position because this pawn is going nowhere. But in a blitz game, it's very difficult. Nihal pushes his pawn to h4. 5 seconds, he brings his knight in. The rook defends the knight defends the pawn. White is in the driver's seat. But can Pragg trick Nihal? He goes back, king e2, and attacks the rook. The pawn is attacked. They repeat twice, but now rook b7. Again the knight attacks, and the king comes out. White king is moving in, and that's a big mistake. But can Nihal find the check? Oh, finds it, because if knight takes, then king takes rook. What a move found by Nihal Sarin, because now this cuts the king off. He has to go here And he goes rook d8 attacking the knight, and this rook endgame is lost because the black king is rank cut off. Yes, king c4 played by Nihal. The king comes in, and there's no way that Nihal has any issues here. Rook b6 and rook e3 check. King coming in. Praggnanandhaa resigns. Nihal strikes back. Score is 3-2.